All right, let's dive into one of history's most debated timelines, the crucifixion of Jesus Christ. Now, the traditional story is something we all know, right? But if you take a closer look at the source texts, a very different picture starts to emerge, one that really challenges everything we thought we knew.
And this is the absolute heart of the mystery. You see, Jesus himself gave one and only one sign to prove who he was. He called it the sign of Jonah, and it's an incredibly specific prophecy. 3 full days and 3 full nights in the tomb. No ambiguity there.
So, right away, this brings up a huge question. We're all familiar with the Good Friday to Easter Sunday story, but does it actually fit the sign he gave? Does it give us 3 days and 3 nights? Honestly, let's just do the math. To get to the bottom of this, here's our game plan. We'll start with the 72-hour problem. Then we're going to look at some amazing clues, like the 2 Sabbaths and the 2 calendars. After that, we'll actually build a new Wednesday timeline, put it head-to-head with the traditional one, and finally, talk about why all of this really matters. Okay, first up, the 72-hour problem. This is really just about the simple math of the prophecy. So if we take the prophecy literally, it's pretty straightforward, right? 3 24-hour periods, that's a minimum of 72 hours. But, if you factor in a burial just before sunset on one day and a resurrection just before sunrise on another, you're actually looking at a total time closer to 84 hours. Now, let's look at the timeline we all know. A burial late on Friday afternoon. So you've got Friday night, all day Saturday, and Saturday night. Then, early Sunday morning, the tomb is found empty. Well, when you add that up, you get what? Roughly 36 hours. That's just 1 full day and 2 nights. And you can see the problem right here, clear as day. The prophecy demands about 84 hours. The traditional story only gives us 36. That's a shortfall of more than half the required time. So how in the world do we fix this? Well, the answer might just be hiding in the details of the week itself. So, our first major clue is the existence of not one, but 2 separate Sabbaths during that week. And trust me, this detail, it changes everything. The key to this whole thing is understanding what a high Sabbath is. This wasn't the normal weekly Saturday Sabbath. Nope. These were special, annual, festival days, like the Feast of Unleavened Bread. They were treated as days of total rest, no matter what day of the week they fell on. And John's Gospel even explicitly calls the day after the crucifixion a high day. Now look how perfectly this timeline fits together. If the crucifixion happened on a Wednesday, then the very next day, Thursday, was this high Sabbath. So the women rested. Then comes Friday, a normal workday, which is exactly when the Gospels of Mark and Luke tell us the women went out to buy and prepare spices. Then they had to rest again on the regular weekly Sabbath, on Saturday. This is the only way that hidden workday on Friday makes any sense. And get this, there's even a clue hidden in the original language to back this up. In the original Greek text of Matthew's Gospel, when it talks about the women coming to the tomb, the word used for Sabbath is sabbaton. That's a plural form. It literally means at the end of the Sabbaths, plural. It strongly suggests there was more than one that week. All right, our next big clue is a tale of 2 calendars. You see, not everyone in 1st century Jerusalem was on the same page when it came to keeping time, and this difference is absolutely central to how all these events could have unfolded. So there were actually 2 competing calendars being used at the time. The Essene community, they used a solar calendar, and on their calendar, Passover always fell on a Wednesday. But the temple authorities used a different lunar calendar, where the dates would shift around every year. This difference is what created a crucial window for Jesus and his disciples to have their Passover meal before the official temple sacrifice. And this links up perfectly with the Last Supper. Jesus used bread and wine, which mirrors the Essene practice, not the sacrificial lamb of the temple. And remember that strange little clue he gave his disciples? He told them to follow a man carrying a water jar. Now, in that society, carrying water was women's work, except in the all-male Essene quarter. It's a powerful breadcrumb pointing to exactly where and how these events were taking place. So, let's put all these pieces together, shall we? Let's actually visualize this Wednesday timeline and see how it all clicks into place. Okay, here it is laid out day by day. Wednesday, you have the crucifixion and burial. Thursday is the high Sabbath, a day of rest. Friday is that crucial work day where the women prepare the spices. Then Saturday is the normal weekly Sabbath, another day of rest. This all leads them to finally go to the tomb early Sunday morning, only to find it's already empty.
Every single detail from all the gospel accounts fits perfectly into this timeline. There are zero contradictions.
Now for the final showdown, 84 hours versus 36 hours. Let's put them side by side.
Let's just break this down. The Wednesday timeline, it gives us the full 84 hours. That's a literal fulfillment of the prophecy, and it perfectly accommodates the two Sabbaths. The Friday timeline, only about 36 hours. You have to kind of explain away the prophecy as not being literal, and it has no room at all for that second Sabbath. I mean, theologically, one model shows the prophecy being fulfilled with absolute precision, while the other, well, it falls pretty short of the one sign Jesus gave. So you might be thinking, okay, but why does any of this really matter? It's a fair question. This is about so much more than just a historical debate. It goes to the very heart of prophecy and tradition. For one thing, a Wednesday crucifixion perfectly fulfills a prophecy from the book of Daniel, chapter 9, which says the Messiah would be cut off in the midst of the week. And what is Wednesday? It's the middle of the 7-day week. Beyond that, the 3.5 days in the tomb creates this incredible symmetry with his 3.5-year ministry, a pattern you see pop up again and again in biblical prophecy. It's all about precision and harmony. So how did the Friday tradition become so popular? Well, historically, as the early church started to grow among non-Jews, there was this deliberate move to separate from Jewish customs. The main day of worship got shifted from the Saturday Sabbath to Sunday, which was the day the tomb was found empty. And over time, that focus on Sunday likely helps cement the whole Friday to Sunday timeline in tradition. When it comes right down to it, the Wednesday crucifixion model just seems to harmonize everything. It brings together all the different constraints, the scriptural accounts, the historical context, and the ancient prophecies into one single coherent story.
And that leaves us with this final question, one that goes way beyond just this one topic. When you find a conflict between a long-held tradition and a really detailed reading of the source texts, which one do you think holds more weight? That's definitely something worth thinking about.